I'm sure you guys are always wanting to see a close-up of my mouth while I brush my teeth. Oh God. Why? Yeah, that might have been one of the dumbest things I've forced myself to do for the internet. You do not need to buy a ton of tiny gadgets to backpack. In fact, your home is packed to the brim with awesome backpacking gear that you already own. I'm Meg Atterbury, an ex-professional writer and outdoor educator, and today I'm going to show you some of my favorite and least favorite backpacking items you can find in your own home. I asked the ultra lightweight community what their favorite at-home piece of backpacking gear was and put them all to the test. And here are the results. Here you go. Water bottle cap. I felt a little bit unhinged about this and put the tent up before the stakes went in, but I've got a couple of different types of stakes to test for this. I got these Easton stakes, which are really long and good for softer ground. And I've got Big Agnes stakes, which are basically the same as MSR groundhogs. The ground at my little camp right now is very hard. It has not precipitated in almost a month. So we're going to try to get it in there and see how it goes. While you're holding the camera. Whew. It's not going anywhere. It's sticking out quite a bit because it's not the right ground for this kind of steak, but can be done. I'd say it's a little tough. Very easy. One of the first things I like to do when I get to camp is take off my shoes. But camp shoes can actually be pretty heavy. And I found a really great solution. These are painter's booties covered in duct tape. I have an entire tutorial on how to make them, but they weigh 1.8 ounces. And I was pretty skeptical at first, but these have almost 20 nights in them and are not showing any wear and tear. In fact, they're getting more and more comfortable the more and more I use them. They really shine in grassy, wooded, dirt environments. However, I took them to the Grand Canyon and was a little unimpressed and certainly thought I made a packing mistake there. There's just too many sharp objects and stones for them to be all that comfortable. There's several times where something would poke right through the shoe and I would be yelping. They cost me 20 cents. This might be my favorite at-home piece of backpacking gear. This thing is virtually indestructible, and it makes a really great free ditty bag. Now, if you don't use liquid IV, you can use any resealable bag. I find the ones with a thicker plastic or the ones that have a metal lining tend to work better for longer, and this thing is incredible. In fact, there's a lot of goodies in here, and we're going to go through them right now. Along the lines of saving random things you get sent, I save all of the little plastic bags that get sent to me and I give them a second life. Granted, they don't last forever. However, you get so many of these, you're always going to have some on hand. I use them for things like my dongles, first aid kit, and toiletry kit. Whenever you get something like this in a package, toss it aside. And when you're going to backpack and you need to have some extra organization, these things weigh next to nothing and cost $0. If you're one of those people who wants to forego a stove, a Talenti jar is something you can use as a cold soak jar. Super easy to clean out and reuse. I personally don't cold soak, so this is something that I don't use for backpacking, but a lot of people do. Namely because it's really, really light. I will have all of the weights for everything that I'm showing you today in the show notes. This is alum powder. Alum powder is a canning preservative. This is a very handy consumable item if you are filtering water that is really turbid or silt laden. This is a tiny amount of alum right here will help you filter up to 10 liters of water. You mix it in at a specific ratio, see the show notes, into a 10-liter ultra lightweight bucket, and all of the silt and minerals will set them to the bottle of your water source, enabling you to filter the water without clogging your filter. Super duper handy in the desert. Next up, peppermint oil. Now, I would not take this entire thing backpacking with me, but I do soak cotton balls in peppermint oil every time I'm backpacking in the desert. This is an excellent way to keep mice out of your camp. The only time I've ever had a mini bear problem in the desert was when I didn't use this, so I'm assuming that it works. However, I would not recommend using this if you're concerned about raccoons or bears, for obvious reasons. It smells like a lot. Next up, these were recommended to me by a lot of people. This is a little sample size container. Some people use the smaller ones, but a lot of Fems and Thems recommended this to me for things like your skincare routine, some Vaseline, lip balms, homemade deodorants, anything like that. This one is a little bit bigger, but I don't really use these because I don't use any of that stuff while I'm hiking. But if you do, these are a great way to have a way to contain your small liquids, gels, and the like. And my daughter packed this one, so let's see what's inside. Oh, look, a little mascot. Probably wouldn't take this backpacking, but my preschooler would. She thought it was important. All right, we're going to put our little ducky friend right here. Quack, quack. Oh, this is another one of my favorite hacks. Absolutely game changing. These are Oreos. You could also wrap Girl Scout cookies. I got really tired of having broken cookies on the trail, so I have wrapped these up in a paper towel. You can use a toilet paper holder, but a lot of you freaked out when I told you to do that. Just use a paper towel roll. And you just cut a slit down the middle, stuff the cookies in, and wrap it. You can wrap it in saran wrap, beeswax wrap. My friend even used painter's tape. It works quite well. When I stuffed 7 days worth of food in a 4.5-day bear bag, I brought 2 of these, and out of the 16 cookies I had, only 1 was broken by the end of the trip. Yummy. This is a collection of silicone packs. Again, things that you find that get shipped to you. Save them. They've got tons of life. I don't bring any of these backpacking per se, but I do use them to dry things out, such as a cold soak jar. Water bladders work really, really well. I also might pack some of the food safe ones. You know they're food safe if you found them in food. I might drop some of those into my pack if I'm expecting a lot of rain or moisture on my trip. Super handy to have and can do a lot. In fact, if you have a phone that's not waterproof and it gets soaked for some reason, you can put these in the bag with the phone and you can revive your phone. A mini soda bottle. Another really great thing to have with you on the trail. I have used this for olive oil. I have used this as my backcountry bidet is attached to one of these as well because they squish really, really easily. Now, obviously not the same bottle. One thing I don't like about them is that they're a little bulky. If they're too bulky for you, you can use a 5-hour energy bottle to put your olive oil in. That also works quite well too. Trash bag. Trash compactor bag. This is not a trash compactor bag, but you could use either one. Be a dry bag. You could use it to lay down all of your things on sandy terrain. Really handy piece of gear to have. Tinfoil. This is about 2 square feet of tinfoil. Really good wind block. Let's check it out in action. Not eating another cookie, because why not? Let's make some tea. You know, it would be helpful. Water. Does anyone else feel like whenever they're backpacking, especially solo, you're just always forgetting something? I feel like every time I go to do something when I'm backpacking alone, I'm like, oh, whoops, need that. And it all takes 3 times as long, which is fine. Because what else really am I going to do other than walk and hang out anyway? So what you want to make sure you do here with the foil, I like to put it underneath a little bit and then I'll hold it up. Where the wind is blowing from, you'll put this windscreen around. Just want to make sure that it's high enough to mostly reach the burner. And obviously you don't want to walk away from it. You want to stay here because if it starts to flap in the wind and gets lit on fire, it's no fun for anyone. Now you don't really want to touch this for a little bit because it could be really hot, so be aware. All right, so this next freebie hack is admittedly quite strange, but I stumbled across this when I was in my 20s on a multi-day rafting trip in Costa Rica. And basically all that I did was take dental floss and tie it around my sunglasses to make a little sunglasses strap. And this is shockingly durable. If you want it to be even more durable, I would braid it. It's a little long just so I can show you right now. However, what makes this such an awesome piece of at-home gear is that dental floss is quite strong and you can sew gear back together with it if you have a seam rip. It's quite common for thru hikers to have in their kit, so why not let it do double duty? The only thing that I would recommend is I would use it with a pair of sunglasses that has a little bit more thickness right here. That's just because this can slide off. Castile soap, doesn't really matter the brand you use. This is Dr. Bronners. Can be used for a variety of things. This bottle, though, a little goes a long, long way. You really only need 1 or 2 drops of soap to wash, and you can wash everything from your plate and your cook setup or your spork to your hair. I've washed all my bits with this and been totally fine. And some people brush their teeth with it. My toothbrush, again, one of my favorite easy hacks, is just an electric toothbrush head. Weighs next to nothing, works great. Watch me while I literally eat soap. Ooh. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh my god, why? Tastes a bit soapy. And a bit minty. I'm sure you guys are always wanting to see a close-up of my mouth while I brush my teeth. Oh god. Why? Hold on. But I need some water. Hold on. There's still a soap residue taste in my mouth. Can you use Dr. Bronners as toothpaste? Yes. Would I recommend it? No, there's a reason why I don't put soap in my mouth. But the real reason is your toothpaste works because there's grit. So like a little grainy texture, and that's what actually cleans your teeth. Now, soap isn't doing a whole lot dentally. My mouth feels quite fresh with a large chunk of soapy aftertaste. But, you know, anything for y'all, right? Swing and a miss. Yeah, that might have been one of the dumbest things I've forced myself to do for the internet. Super easy hack. Duct tape attached to your trekking pole. If you don't have a trekking pole, you can also put it on your poop trowel. Gluco tape, the go-to blister preventer, wrapped around your trowel for a little bit of added cushion on the trowel and an easy way to store this. Some people also store this by peeling off the return label you get in a package and using that waxy surface to lay the tape down on. Another really great hack. Excuse me, didn't see you there. I had a phenomenal number of people tell me that a Swedish dishcloth is a really handy item, especially for condensation. Here in the Mountain West and the American Southwest, where I tend to backpack, you've really got to try to get condensation. I've never put this to the test in the field. However, I do use one of these to wipe down some of the condensation areas of my camper. What I found is if the Swedish cloth is totally dry, it actually just pushes the water around a bit. And what ends up happening is it ends up dripping all over me. And I'm curious to see if the same thing happens with this tent. Now, because we are having record dryness right now in my mountain abode, I am going to spray this until it starts to drip. And we're going to give this a shot. Maybe go up from the bottom. It's a little bit better. It is for sure dripping all over me, just like I expected it to. It's a little bit better if you work your way from the bottom to the top, slightly better because the drips will catch on here a little bit. You can see my leg quite wet. So if I were to suggest this method, my recommendation would be to make sure that your clothing, sleeping bag, sleeping pad, all those things that you might not want to get even wetter, remove them from the tent first. Is this better than just letting the tent dry? Probably marginally. I frankly think this is just an okay thing to have. Good news is it weighs nothing, so if you want to try it out for yourself and see if you can find a better way to work it, go ahead and give it a go and let me know in the comments. Maybe it'll work well as a personal towel. I'm not sure. I'm not really sold on this one, but a lot of people swear by it, so maybe I'm not doing it right. And then there's bread ties. But bread ties are shockingly handy when you're on a big long hike or in wetter environments. I've always hung my clothes to dry in and around my tent structure, but a lot of people will dry out their clothes by hanging them on one of these. We're gonna get on in here and check out how that works. Okay. Honestly, it's just me doing all this. I have a tripod in my tent. We are in my humble abode, and we are gonna hang some socks. Here's our little bread tie here. This guy's quite cool. Now, I've always just hung my stuff up here around this like that. And even in trekking pole tents, I found that you can hang your stuff quite easily. If you have an inner, whatever is connecting the inner to the outer, you can hang off of, or you can hang off of guy wires outside. Again, people have told me that this little bread tie will make things easy. My Injinji socks have this cool little strap, actually, which I find to be very handy for hanging. So I could hang them right here. Hi. Ooh. Potentially smelly on day 4 or 5. Or if you don't have something to hang it by the tag, I'm not sure how you'd hang this. So let me try. Grabbing a corner and pinching. I mean, it'll slide out if I pull really hard, but I don't know why you would be. This is a pretty handy hack. I like it. And my scale probably won't even register it. Got a piece of at-home backpacking gear you want me to try? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will get to it next season, where you'll find me backpacking everywhere from the bottom of the Grand Canyon to the highest peaks in Colorado. See you next time, and happy adventuring out there.